Okay, hello, movie lovers. My name is Dani, and I'm here with Zoa.
Hey,
Uh, Hello. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. Yourself?
I'm okay. We're going to be doing three movies. We're going to be commenting about three movies today. I will let Zoa comment on his first choice.
Yep. And for this first choice, I got something that had a whole lot of hype, which is the 2021 version of Dune by Denis Villeneuve. I have to say before I start that as a movie director, I was not crazy about the work of Denis Villeneuve. I was very proud as a Quebecois, as a Montrealer, to see him reach the status that he did. But his movies never really did it for me, and I was quite frankly disappointed by Blade Runner, and from which I expected the most, and I didn't get much. And so with all this said, and also Dune, which is a classic in the geek world that I have evolved in for the longest of time, is also something that I'm not too familiar with. And so I come with this movie with not too much expectation. And boy, was I surprised. This movie is, I will say it, and I'm a great fan of the genre of science fiction. This is very likely the best science fiction movie that was ever made. And I noticed first of all when I was surprised by the fact that a whole lot of the elements of that story are the one that made Star Wars in 1977. Basically, Star Wars was a huge ripoff of all the ideas within Dune, And on a cinematographic level, I was also, of course, Villeneuve is pretty much on the top notch as when it comes to realization and the skills and the craft itself. And so the direction, the choice of images, it was pretty much perfect. And also, I'm not much of an actor person. I don't usually go crazy with actors. I often don't remember their names so much. And a lot of actors in that movie that I thought were not so good, like the guy that Oscar Isaac that I seen in Star Wars and I didn't like, and I thought, yeah, he's probably not much of an actor, but it's just that there wasn't much of a movie for him to be in Star Wars, so I didn't notice that before I saw him in that movie Dune. Every actor in that movie seems like he's doing not only a good job, but you kind of keep in the suspension of disbelief. Like even Jason Momoa, which I don't care much. I've seen in many movies and he's not much of an actor, but in this movie, the character is well built. And when you meet him, already you know him and already you got a feel of who he is, of how special he is. And for me, that I didn't see the mechanism at work. And when I don't see the mechanism at work, the movie maker have managed to do something good, I think. So what do you think about it?
Well, I did not see the 1984 David Lynch Dune.
Yeah, it's hardly
I
related.
haven't seen that.
It's
Yeah.
hardly related. It's more of a
Um,
David Lynch movie than a Dune movie, really, I think.
okay. Yeah. So I understand what you're saying now. But I'm not so much keen into this genre, also, but it was a little bit satisfying to see that it's a mother and son, just like the other movie I'm going to introduce, mother and son battle. Because it's mostly, the father who's doing everything and then the son, But I also found out that the novel was speculated to be an influence behind the Danish feature film called Strings in 2004.
Okay.
I mean, I think that yeah, it is a little bit like Star Wars war-ish, like as you said. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. It's not like I wouldn't have gone to watch it, I think, in the cinema, unless, because we're doing a show, then
If you
I
didn't
watched
have
it.
to.
Yeah, and I didn't have to. But yeah, I like Timothy, Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
He's pretty good, even though he's not like the typical muscular man that will save the world.
Yeah.
He is probably more wiser. You know, he does have his skills, physical skills, but he is mostly more, with heart and brain. So I like that aspect of it too.
A big of influence on the character from his mother. So he's not like the typical masculinity that we would say. He's very much
Exactly.
both the children of, like it's been said in the movie, like he's both, he got both tradition, both legacy in him, both the legacy of the Bene Gesserit, which is kind of a religious mystical order from his mother, and from the more patriarchal structure that his father represents. And he's like the chief on both sides, so he's got both hats to fit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So so did you give a yay or a yawn?
I'll give it a yay. I'll give it a yay.
Yeah, I get, like you said, like I told you at the beginning, I'm kind of excited about it. So yes, indeed, I give it a big yay, and I'm happy that they're going to be making the follow-up, because of course the movie kind of cuts right in the middle, right? And it wasn't much of a success economically. They had 330 million worldwide, which is not so much. Even given that we're getting toward the end of this pandemic thing, some Hollywood movies are getting back to almost pre-pandemic level, and that movie didn't really perform. And one of the reasons, of course, was the Chinese market was not really open for that movie. They really didn't care much for it. And
are you talking about cinema, or because like we could stream it immediately? I could stream it on HBO immediately. Do you think that's why?
I think that the box office probably involves this also. That's complicated, but maybe you check Grace Randolph. Sometimes I put videos of her. She put out a lot of analysis on the economic structure of the industry. So this is a good hint. But from what I can reckon, it's still. You've seen the thing with Scarlett Johansson, that she went against Disney, and basically they backed out.
Widow.
They backed out, and they kind of get, because the thing is that they use those shows as promotional to push their streaming, and they hadn't in their old contract, that hadn't been taken. So I don't know neither if those box office numbers includes the streaming, but I reckon they probably do, because the in the past, the ones I've seen now, they try to put it all together, but maybe that's too short. The movie wasn't out a long time ago, right? Just a week. Oh no, almost a month ago already. Well, yeah, those are probably including streaming, I would say. Yeah, but at the beginning they do it like you pay download right? When it just comes out, it's not just streaming. You have to pay like $30 and you can watch it for like a weekend or something, or?
No, I was already a member of HBO. I only pay like $8 a month, and I could watch it the same day that it came out.
Without renting it on top of it.
Nope, I didn't have to rent it. For Black Widow, we did. I was subscribed to Disney, but for Black Widow, I had to pay like $20.
Yeah, that's the
$20.
Yeah, that's part of the new format that they tried with Black Widow, but they quickly backed out of this, and the other movies that they released right after, they tried to put it strictly in the cinema, like Shang-Chi. It just came out in the cinema. It took like 6 weeks before it came out in streaming. We're breaking up again. I hope this fixes quick. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. That's about it for Dune. And what's the movie that you picked for this month's show, Dani?
Okay, I picked Pain and Glory. In Spanish is Dolor y Gloria. And it's directed by Pedro Almodóvar and written by, as well, of course, almost all of his films. It is inspired by Fellini's 8.5 in 1963. I watched it in New York the first time, and I absolutely, really, really enjoyed it. We see Cecilia Ross in the beginning of the film, which she worked with him in one of my favorite movies, All About My Mother, Todo Sobre Mi Madre, in 1999, I believe it is. That's the film that won him his Academy Award, his first Academy Award. I don't know, actually. Well, anyway, so, with Feather or Boulevard, it's like almost like watching a painting grow in front of you. Or move in front of you. It's all these colors, and also the theme about mother and son, that he grew up with mostly just the mom. We see his father like once or twice in the whole movie. Yes, I really loved it, and it is a semi-biographical. But yeah, no, he has not consumed heroin, but it is a little bit semi-biographical. And I mean, yeah, and I really like in the beginning when it's, the anatomy of the body, because as I'm getting older, I'm beginning to feel parts of my body that I didn't even know existed. So I really, really connected with that, and also, I am also a film director, and I would really love to get into that again. So it's like very close to home what that for me, and also, my only child that raised with just a mom. And what did you think?
Yeah, I really liked it. It's been a long while that I've mostly watched superheroes flick and so on. So my quest for the purity of cinema is something that I not gave on, but put on pause a long time ago. So it had been a long time that I haven't watched a movie that I would rate above 9 on 10 or something like that. I kind of forgot how that felt. So I was very entertained by this movie. I was we say épaté, amazed by the skills of the director, the author. You say it's inspired by 8.5. I don't know if you have links on that, but it's a movie that is part of a tradition of movie makers that when they feel they reach the top of their art, they do a movie about a biopic about the movie itself being made. So I think it's called a synecdoche when the movie is about itself. There's a long movie.
He mentions it there. The mom mentions that to him, actually, remember? Something like that. Anyway, yeah, continue.
No, and but the thing is that it's very wisely, you never see the mechanism at work. So until the very end, you don't get the obvious that the whole scenes with the mother were shot, were acting, and so on and so forth, because it's just the way that it's cut, basically. And the second chapter, also the one where the human body is put in perspective, and not only the human body, but also the mind and the subjective perception of the person. His trouble with the anxiety and depression, and that basically he's being broken out of being his own self, and he's looking back, his missing shard or something like that. Which is once again a classical trope that we see in movies, but once again, you don't really. Well, I'm usually very pointy with movies, and I like to be picky, and I didn't have one occasion in that movie that I thought, oh, there's a movie mechanism at work right there. But they were all there, but I was always in the suspension of disbelief once again. And the Antonio Banderas is really incredible in his acting, and that's about it. And what else?
He won the Goya for Best Actor, and this film won the Goya for Best Film. Also was nominated for Best Foreign Film in the Academy Awards, but did not win. Parasite won, actually. Parasite is another one that I would love to comment.
There's a list of accolades and of a nomination that he had here on the page of Wikipedia. There's like Sydney and Hollywood Film and International Cinephile, whatever, and he's got a whole lot of them. Yeah, but he's used to that, and but that's his career. That's what he tells us in the movie anyway. And the way that he separates himself from the text, telling us how he works. So telling us a little bit how to read his own text also, maybe. I don't know. I think I probably have seen more than 3 movies from Almodovar, but that's the third one I can really remember and say the title, and all of them were pretty good on the top notch of the spectrum. So I give it a big yay.
Me too. Big yay.
Big yay. Now we're going to my choice in the repertoire film. And this was for a long time a favorite of mine, but I say favorite, I watched it like 8 years after it came out, and I was really impressed, and I hadn't watched it ever since. So I saw it with a little bit more critical eye today, but I still was quite impressed with Scott Pilgrim versus the World. To me, this movie, yes, of course, it's a neo-teen movie, all right? So it's like a teenage movie. It's more aimed at kids than at adult audience. I would reckon that, but I feel concerned by those movies. What can I say? First of all, it's an adaptation by a comic book of by what's his name, Brian Lee O'Malley, and it's almost biographical. I reckon he didn't do real kung fu fights and stuff like that, but I mean, the buildings, the houses that we see in the movie, they are the same that we see in the comic because they are the same that the guy grew in. And Edgar Wright, which is a movie director, which I think everybody would win to discover. I've not done a whole lot of movies, but on directing and on cutting, editing, he's like a real master. I don't know if you noticed how he kept the rhythm and that how he constantly keeps us off guard, like you're trying to put your feet on you're expecting something and he cuts the right under your feet and you get into, and the way that images are cut, it's very plastic. Like sometimes it's like a painting or a video game or a TV show, and I'm going to come back on this in a short while. So there's a whole lot of actors in that movie that were often at the beginning of their career or that we hadn't known much back then, but that became a little bit bigger. Of course, there's Michael Cera. I don't know if he had done his TV. He was big on a TV show that the title I don't remember.
That's the Development.
Yeah, right on. I watched all these. I think he made that movie after the show. He was made famous by the show.
Yeah, it's like a really good show.
Yeah, and the Chris Evans, which is Captain America, which plays a completely off character completely to what we're used. Like he's mostly a hole.
He's the opposite of a hero.
Yeah, right on. But it's all very a bit silly, but there are some very serious lessons like the guy, like they're all a little bit mixed up. This Sarah is more mixed up. He's like the little quick-headed guy, and he does whatever he does, and slowly he learns from hits that he gets, and they're made very physical, metaphorically physical, with like video game kind of fights, so he slowly learned to get a grab of himself, and push himself a little bit further toward maybe higher standards or something like that, and the visual imagery is very reminiscent of early video games, and that's one of the first movies I've seen really do that in an efficient way. That's why I choose it, because last week, last time we talked about a movie that had similarities with this, with the video game theme and so on, but this is much more like old school kind of video games, and he was prepared for martial arts. Why? Because he's been playing this karate video game for the longest time, and what do you think about Edgar Wright, and what do you think about the movie?
What did you say? Oh, Edgar Wright. Yes. So he also directed, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, those two, and probably more, of course. I was just not so enthusiastic about the premise, because it's basically this guy who has all of these women wanting him, and then he has to fight the exes to get her. So it's a little bit childish, of course. Like as you said, it's a little bit more for young adults.
Just a quick note: the trope of having to fight bad guys over bad guys is also very video game centric. Like you fight a bigger bad guy until you fight the big boss, which is exactly the structure that they chose in the movie. And it's also based on the old Bruce Lee movie Tower of Death, which is exactly the same. He goes on from one big bad guy to one big bad guy until he gets to the final bad guy. So that's a classic martial art movie tropes as well.
Yeah, it's like watching a comic book,
It is exactly
the thing is that, yeah, exactly. It's almost like, like in Kill Bill, where she goes from like, to all of them until she gets Bill.
Yep.
Right.
Same.
Yeah. But like for me, it was just like, I bet the male ego got a very good kick of it because of like, I'm gonna get the girl or whatever. Edgar Wright has stated that the movie was done in a style of a musical, but instead of the characters breaking into song and dance, they break into a fight. So that was pretty creative. I actually really like that part of it.
Subversion of genre is something that Wright does to an extent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a Bollywood fight scene.
Yeah, exactly. But the Indian guy really started to dance at one point,
What I did really like was, Mary Elizabeth Winston, the girl who
Ramona.
She memorized all the kinds of tea. Remember that she had to say all these kinds of tea.
Yeah.
That was because I'm a tea lover. I was pretty impressed with that because they told her we can just put the list, and she's like, no, I'm gonna memorize it. So that was like an interesting little trivia thing that I really liked. I always liked Michael Cera's comedic. He has like comedic timing, so he actually made it possible for me to keep on watching the movie because he is actually really, really funny in some aspects, even though the premise is something that I didn't really care about, but as I've seen him in Arrested Development, it's like you should watch that. It's pretty funny. It's like one of the most funniest series I've seen.
I've seen all seasons.
Oh, okay. And then Alison Pill, I love her.
Which was the sister?
Alison Pill is like the drummer.
Oh, the drummer, yeah.
Yeah. She's like, there's another awesome female drummer over there.
She looks at it. She's always very competent, and I like how it's not clear that they've been together until a real good part, and then you see, oh, that's this guy's character. That's who he is. He's like that, Yeah,
exactly. So that's why it's like it was a little bit off-putting for me that every girl wanted him, but it's like, okay, let's just do that. But no, Alison Pill was in Milk with Sean Penn.
Yep.
And that's why I was like, whoa, she's in this. And so that made me also very much appreciate the movie because of her too. But yeah, I mean, I probably would not have watched it. I give it a yawn.
That was the big question that was coming,
Yeah. Yeah, I give it a yawn but I mean, I did watch it and somewhat entertaining, but I would not choose to watch it.
I had a question that looking at the movie yesterday, I couldn't help but thinking, what do you think about the whole jokes with his roommate and this level of humor? Or did you think it was appropriate, or do you think it was?
Yeah, with Kieran Culkin. It was almost like he was playing a gay guy, but he wasn't really gay. He was just like,
But correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I saw it is like they're best buddies from ever since before they knew anything about any of that stuff. So they're pushing each other and toying with each other, and that's just how things goes, And,
Yeah, no, I know, but and also he's like just like almost like very serious comedic timing, Michael Cera. So it doesn't seem like he's like making fun so much.
Yeah. He's an asshole. He's an asshole. Like that's who he is in the movie. He's a little bit likable, but he's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, he's almost analyzing as he goes along all of the things about being just not homophobic or something. Yeah. But it does have like a little problematic things there.
Yeah, the humor is I saw
it. It's a little outdated, and you can just do better than that. You can be a little bit wittier if you're going to be homophobic, because I mean we can all laugh about anything. Like we can just laugh, but it has to be witty to laugh.
Yeah, but like he goes like a lot of comedians go. He aims his arrows in kind of all directions. So he thinks like like the way that he mocks the vegans. I thought it was really, really brilliant. Like
which one?
The vegans. Like the guy.
Yeah.
He gets a superpower because he's a better person because he only reads vegan.
Yeah, the vegan guy, the vegan superhero. That is so funny. Yeah. And then he had like the lattes
Yeah,
with
the
like
latte. Yeah,
non almond
yeah.
milk or whatever.
And another thing, last thing I have to say, this is like a 2010, and I don't know if the term millennium or millennial for the generation had been coined already, but really this movie seemed to me a little bit before that term was coined. And this is a portrait of millenniumism or millennial. This guy is the typical millennial that
Millennial. Yeah,
millennial, yeah,
100%.
like completely
Yeah, totally.
nonchalant and like
Yeah,
he doesn't think
yeah.
further than the next eight
Then the
second,
next day or yeah,
Oh no,
or yeah.
the day, the
Then
seconds,
yeah, yeah.
All right. So we didn't mention at the beginning of the show, so we're going to say it now at the end of the show. We will suggest that people leave a like if they want us to keep on doing the show. If they have suggestions or questions, they can leave them in the comments, and they can also share the video, of course. And normally we would have a routine where we would have already discussed the 3 movies that we will discuss next month, but we still haven't done that, so it's still going to be a mystery guest for the 3 next movies, and we will have decided hopefully before we start shooting the next one, which is going to be soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
So we keep in touch, and that's going to be it for today.
Okay. Ciao.
Good. I thank you very much, and we'll talk a little bit later. Bye.
Yeah, of course. Bye.
I roast mine. Yeah,